All right, so now let's get into actually looking at visual supports and talking about the different ways we might use them. The first area that I'm going to focus on is visual supports for understanding, helping individuals understand information better, okay? So some of the common ways that we use visuals are to help people understand what's going to happen. We make people's days more predictable. And often by making the day more predictable, we also help people with transitions from one activity to the next, right? And if you spent, I don't know, an hour with a kid with autism often, you know that transitions are regularly difficult, right? Individuals with autism have difficulty with transitions. Individuals with developmental disabilities often have difficulty with transitions because they don't know what's happening next, right? And oftentimes we're trying to stop a preferred activity and tell, we're gonna go do something else, and they don't know what something else is, they just know that you're stopping what they're enjoying. And so providing them with some information can make those transitions a bit better. We can use visual supports to help them understand rules and expectations. We can provide visual supports that detail out the step-by-step instructions for them to complete a task. We can give information about time, when events happen, when events will end, how long things are gonna last, that kind of information. And we can also use visuals to help organize the environment. Where do things belong? Where do things belong then leads really nicely into put your own things away, right? Because when you know where things belong, you can probably put your own things away now, right? So the method to my madness of, right, how do we get kids to put stuff away? So let's first look at some of these environmental supports. It's pretty simple. Here's some drawers in a kitchen. There are symbols that label what should belong in the drawers. So if we're cooking and I ask a kid to get something, kid knows where to get it. If the kid's emptying the dishwasher, because that's his chore, he knows where to put things, right? Now this was in my schoolroom, and you might notice that there's a lovely wood veneer here, and that's Velcro. And it's sticky back Velcro, which is the only kind of Velcro to buy. Never buy Velcro that you have to put the glue on, right? Get sticky back. But it sticks. I was never really popular with our janitor because I was usually doing stuff like that. And my reply was always, it is a school, it is for the children, and if that's what the children need, then that's what I'll do. What are you gonna do about it now? And so he would kind of grumble, and that was that. Nobody ever made me pay for the cupboards or anything. But families tend not to want to put Velcro on their cupboards because families know very well, and I don't go in and say, well, but your home is for the children. I mean, I could, but it's not my home. The thing you can do, however, is use this lovely cloth that we talked about, you can cut those into strips. You can cut that cloth into long strips that wrap around your cupboard and use a piece of rough Velcro to hold it closed at the end, and now you have this little Velcro strip. Now, if you're really fancy, because I have moms that wouldn't want kind of the rough cut edges, right, because that wouldn't look good. If you wanted to sew that cloth into nice little tubes where, right, there was an even seam, have at her, by all means. But you can just cut strips, and then that way now you can put Velcro on your cupboard doors to show where the dishes belong, where the utensils belong, especially if you think you want to teach your kid or teach a young adult where to put things away. Now they know where it goes, right? One of the other things, I'm not sure if I think it was in my list, maybe I forgot to mention it. I might have forgotten to mention. There's such a thing as sticky note glue stick. That's another thing you can go buy. So you know Post-it notes. You can get glue stick that makes that Post-it note stuff. And you can do that for your cupboards as well. So essentially laminate your symbols, put on the sticky note glue stick, follow the instructions on the sticky note glue stick container. It says apply the glue, leave the glue to dry until tacky, and then apply to where you're, right? I learned the hard way, right? Not following instructions. If you don't wait for it to become tacky, it glues like real glue. And then when you try to peel it off, it's not like a Post-it note. But environmental supports are really just about labeling things, right? I'm always encouraging parents to label their children's dresser drawer for a couple of reasons. One, so that the kid learns to get his own clothes out, because one day, that kid will be an adult and mommy won't be there to pick out your clothes for you in the morning. So how about we just start picking out our clothes now? That's a good idea, right? This way, now I know where my clothes are, right? Because most kids, by the time they're kind of 8, 9, picking out their own clothes, maybe with a little bit of, I don't think that quite matches, maybe you want to try again, right? Or it's the middle of winter, maybe, shorts aren't a great idea, but, that's another lesson. And then the other thing that we can do once we've got it labeled is that kids can start putting their own laundry away. Right? So again, instead of somebody else doing their laundry for them and just magically their laundry appears in their drawer, they can learn to put their own clothes away, another important life skill, right? So environmental supports are really about just labeling environments. In classrooms, kindergarten teachers do this all the time because none of the 5-year-olds know where to put things, right? They're 5. But you can do this at home as well. Right, I had a mom who she called her play area, right? She had 2 kids with autism and there was kind of the family room and she had big bins of, I don't know how many hundreds of Hot Wheels cars and whatever else was in there. But by the end of the day, it was all over the floor. She just called it the soup. And it was the soup of toys. Right? And so we got some labels on the bins to teach children how to clean up the soup when they were finished playing at the end of the day, so that it wasn't the soup room anymore. Right? So it's really just about labeling stuff. Right? So we can use this in a variety of settings. If we're talking about homes, labeling dresser drawers, labeling the toys, the toy box, labeling where food goes. I also will do magnet symbols for on the fridge, what food is in the fridge, and then you can use that to make a shopping list. So when the food is gone, we take the symbol off the fridge, we put it on the shopping list. So you can do that. At school, labeling things, where do your personal items belong? Where do the different learning items belong? In vocational settings, right, as we start to think about young adults moving into vocational settings, we might need to put environmental supports in place. Again, where do you put your own belongings when you're at work? Where's the appropriate place to keep your things? What are your things versus someone else's things? Where are your work materials? Where do you put your work materials when you're done? All of that kind of stuff. But about providing information within the environment about the environment, okay? Does that make sense? All right. So I'm going to get you to do a 3-minute talk to your neighbor, but let me explain what you're going to talk about because you're not just going to have a chit chat. I want you to think about using visuals to organize an environment and think particularly, I've got 3 scenarios. How would you use visuals to help a student know which classroom to go to help an employee know where to deliver staff mail, and to teach a child how to sort laundry? So if you wanted to help a student know which classrooms to go to, like music class, art class, the gym and stuff, how would you use visuals in the environment to help that student know? So you could put symbols outside the door, right? Because a lot of times classroom doors have either numbers or they might have a label. But if you're supporting a student who doesn't read the label, you could put symbols out there. And then especially if the student's using a visual schedule, which we're going to be talking about soon, they can match the symbol that's in their schedule to the symbol that's on the door, and now they know where they're going. Did anybody else have a different idea? It's usually the most common answer. Right, I had a student who was using object cues, and what we did is we sliced stuff. So the gym, we made a ball, the gym cue, and we got a small rubber ball, sliced it in half, and mounted one outside the gym door, and mounted the other on a card. And again, right, you can match, but it was tactile, right? He needed something that was tactile and 3-dimensional. So again, those are things that you can do. If you had an employee, a young adult with autism, working in an office having to deliver staff mail, how might you use visuals to help the person know where to deliver different pieces of mail to? Have employee pictures on the doors? Yeah, you might have employee pictures on the doors, right? And then you'd have to have employee pictures on the mail items too, but you could make like multiple stickers, right? You could print out a bunch of stickers. If the individual can match text, that's a great thing. They can have the text on the sticker and look at the text on the name of the envelope or the piece of mail that's going, and okay, that's Fred. Oh, there's the Fred sticker. That'll help me when I'm looking for Fred out there. and I can deliver, right? So you can think about different ways of doing things like that. What about sorting laundry? Some of you could go home this weekend and have your child sort laundry for you. How could you use visuals to help a child sort laundry? So sorting laundry, so if you're sorting to say put away in drawers, having the actual pictures on drawers. When I was thinking about sorting laundry, I was thinking about, maybe perhaps we're not doing this anymore. I mentioned sorting laundry to a family last week and mom said, oh, I don't do that, I just throw it all in the machine. Sorting, like color sorting. Does anybody still color sort? Yeah, okay. How could we use visuals for color sorting? Yeah. Yeah, so you might have containers that are either color-coded, or you put labels on containers with examples of what kinds of clothes go, right? Or you're a non-sorting kind of family, it just all goes in the washing machine. That's fine, then you don't have to worry about teaching sorting. Right, but lots of things you can do, so it doesn't really matter what kind of task or activity or what kind of environment. It's about thinking for a given individual what makes the most sense. How can I provide information in the environment so that the person can access the environment better or understand how to use the environment better? Okay, so let's actually move on to visual schedules. It came up a little bit, which is kind of a nice segue.